haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Mem Vav Amud Beis. Starting with Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph, 10 lines from the bottom. If a korban tamid on Erev Shabbos was nishchat and its dam was nizrak on the mizbeach, can that korban then be brought Friday night to be burnt on the mizbeach? The Gemara says a machloikis. And although Bar Kapara and Rava say that it is permissible, but indeed Rav Huna says it is prohibited. So Gemara brings back the statement, Gufa Rav Huna, Tamid techilasoi doiche, soife eino doiche. The korban tamid techilasoi doiche, the beginning, that means the shchita, that would be doiche on Shabbos. But however, the soifoi, just burning the evarim on the mizbeach, that would not be able to be done on Shabbos. My eino doiche. So Gemara actually questions, what is it referring to, this statement? We're talking about already a statement when it was happening on Erev Shabbos, but the Gemara has a shaila about this. Rav Chizda Amar doiches ha-Shabbos veino doiches ha-Tuma. Rav Chizda says that it would yes be doiche Shabbos, however, Tuma, it would not be doiche. And therefore, on the Tuma itself, although you can go ahead and begin being zarek the dam, and be shoichet in a state of Tuma, if you have no choice, but it can't be completed with a state of Tuma. That's how Rav Chizda understands Rav Huna. Rava Omar, really is Rabba Omar, doiches ha-tuma vein doiches ha-Shabbos. That indeed, in regards to the tuma, that can be done even the latter part of the offering of the korban. That means placing the animal, the evarim, on the mizbech to be burnt, even in a state of tuma. However, Rabba says that in regards to Shabbos, we will not allow those parts to be now placed on the mizbeach to be burnt. If those were parts that were a korban tamid on Erev Shabbos, although it was shechted and the dam was sprinkled on the mizbeach on Erev Shabbos, but the evarim of that korban tamid on Erev Shabbos can now be placed Friday night on the mizbeach. Omer le Abai le Rabbi. Abai now says to Rabbi, Lididoch, to you who just said that it is not doiches ha-Shabbos, kasha. Ul Rav Chizda, kasha, and according to Rav Chizda, who said that it's not doiches ha-tuma, is a kasha. Explains Abai, Lididoch kasha. According to you, it's a kasha, again, that you say that it's not doiches ha-Shabbos, by putting the evarim of the korban tamid shel Erev Shabbos on Shabbos, because maishna tuma. Why would tuma be different? Why? You'll say because it says in the pasuk in regards to the korban tamid, lahakriv li b'moyadoi. Mashma, you shall bring the korban tamid in its moyed, in its designated time, which is every day, even a state of tuma. Va'afilu b'tuma. Then Shabbos nami b'moyadoi. Then also on Shabbos should be in its designated time, which would be even on Shabbos. Va'afilu b'Shabbos. So that's a kasha on you, Rabbah. You're not being consistent with moyadoi. Just as mo'ado shall permit the state of tuma, so too shall permit the chiyah of Shabbos. Ul Rav Chizda kasha, and similarly we can ask on Rav Chizda. Maishno Shabbos tichsiv moyadoi. Afilu b'Shabbos. Just as the reason why Rav Chizda says that it's doiches ha-Shabbos because it's moyadoi in regards to korban tamid, then tuma nami moyadoi. You have to be consistent and say vafilu be-tuma. Also in a state of tuma, it can ultimately be brought in that state. So why is it not nidche in a state of tuma? Omar le. Rabba says back to Abaye, loy ledidi kasha v'lo Rav Chizda kasha. Is not going to be difficult, not according to myself and not according to Rav Chizda, as follows. Lididi lo kasha. According to me, Rabba says it's not kasha. Why I say it's not doiche Shabbos? Because soifoi kitechilosoi. Because I say the end is like the beginning. On top of mem vova mit beis. Tuma de tchilosoi bar mitcha. tumahu. So fenami dochi. Tuma, that in the beginning it's something that is doiche. That means that if there are no kohanim to go ahead and shecht the carbon tamid and sprinkle the dam, it can be done. It's permissible. It's doiche. So too then the soif, also when it comes to burning the evarim on the mizbeach, if there's no other kohanim that are in a state of purity, they can also then place the animal's evarim on the mizbeach, and it's doiche. However, Shabbos, the tchilasu la bar midche Shabbos hu. But in regards to Shabbos, then we'll say that in the beginning, it's not bar midche. That means you can't take a carbon tamid from Erev Shabbos and shecht and zorik the dam on Shabbos. So if that's the case, then sofinami lo dochi. So then even if you were to shecht and zorik the dam before Shabbos, you can't go ahead and place the evarim on the mizbeach on Shabbos. So that's why it's not a kasha on me, Rabbi explains. And also not a kasha on Rav Chisda as follows. The Rav Chisda lo kasha. Why? Because he says the opposite. Soifo kit chilosai lesle. He says the end is not like its beginning. And therefore as follows. Shabbos de hutra hi betzibur. Soifo nami dochi. Shabbos is called hutra. It's permissible betzibur. And therefore, since Shabbos is hutra betzibur, then the soifa will also then be mutter to place the evarim on the mizbeach on Shabbos. Tuma de dechuya hi betzibur, whereas tuma is not hutra, it's dechuya, which means that it's only because we have no other choice. So therefore, in such a state, therefore we allow the tuma to be then brought betzibur. Therefore, to chila the iker kapara dachi, because if it's situation of only a dechia, so because that which affects the actual kapara, namely the shchita and the zrikas hadam, the beginning part, then that's going to be doiche. However, soifa the lav iker kapara lo doiche. Since again the tuma is dechuya b'tzibur, so only the kapara will then be dechuya. But the part which not a kapara, namely just taking the animal's evar and placing it on the mizbeach in a state of tuma, is not going to be doiche. So that explains, Rabbi says, Rav Chisda's position as well. The Gemara now brings a statement in regards to the burning of the eish of the machta and the menorah. Says the Gemara, ha-mechabe eish machta u'menorah. One who then extinguishes the fire of the machta that is used to bring the coals for the ketares to be burnt either in the heichal on a regular day, or even on Yom Kippurim, or even in the Kodesh HaKadoshim in Yom Kippurim, or the menorah which is used to kindle the menorah in the heichal on a daily basis. Abai Omar Chayov, Rav Omar Potter. Abai says Chayiv, because it says lo tukad boy, lo yichbe. It shall not. Eish hamizbech lo tukad al hamizbech. It says lo tichbe. It shall not be consumed, and therefore it shall be extinguished. However, Rava says it's potter. Dechavye beroishoi shal mizbech. If he extinguishes on the top of the mizbeach, the kul yamol lo pligi dechav. Everybody would agree that it is chayiv. That means he takes the coal from the top of the Mizbeach, and he's still on top of the Mizbeach, and he extinguishes it. Everybody, both Rava together with Abai, would say it's chayav. Because, again, lo sichbe. Ki pligi da'achte a'aro v'chavye. The machlokes is if they take the coal down below, and then they're mechabe, then they extinguish the coal. Abai mar chayiv eish hamizbeachu. It's still considered eish hamizbeach, lo sichbe, it says. And therefore, he's going to be chayiv. However, Rav Amar Potter, why? Even the naska. Once he already then separated out, it's separated. And therefore, it does not consider to be the altar's coals. Elohodo Rav Nachman Rabbi bar Bavua Hamorid not gacheles me al gabe mizbech v'kiba chayiv. Rav Nachman says that one who then takes down the gacheles from on top of the mizbeach, and he extinguishes chayiv. And we know Rav Nachman's ruling is authoritative. Kiman, who's that like? Ki Abaye, like Abaye. That means it's not like Rava, who's authoritative also. Says the Gemara, no, afilu teima kerava. You can also say it's like Rava. Why? Because Hasam, over there in Rav Nachman's case, when he took the coals, loy intik lemitzvasa. He didn't take it to then remove it from its mitzvah. And therefore, in that situation, it still remains part of the altar, whereby even Abaye and Rava, together with Abaye, would say that it's going to be osir. But hacha intik lemitzvasa. But over here, in regards to the case that we said before, what Rava said, there he was menatek it from the mitzvah. And therefore, once he's menatek it from the mitzvah, therefore no has any designation of an altar, and therefore would be then considered to be permissible. It's not an iser. Ike da'amrei. There are those that say, da'ach de'a'arei v'kavya dekuli amalo pligi de potter. There's another lashon, and this says that if he takes down the coal to the floor below, and he extinguishes it there, everybody would agree that it's potter, including Abaye. The Gemara says, Ki pligi dechavdiyah berosh shel mizbeach. When are they arguing? On the top of the mizbeach. He takes a coal, and then he extinguishes on top of the mizbeach. Abaye amar chayiv, eish hamizbeachu. It says, lo sichbe. Rava amar potter, kivan de naska. Rava says it's potter because he removed it, and once it's removed from the altar, it no longer has connection to the altar, and therefore is not under the conditions of lo sichbe. Elohoda Marav Nachman asked the Gemara, Amarabe Baravua, Hamori Gachel Me'al Gabe Hamizbech Vekova Chayiv. Here Rav Nachman, who's authoritative, says that when you do take it down from on the Mizbeach, it's going to be Chayiv. And here, Lechara, that seems to be Kiman, Loi Ke'abai V'lo Kerova. Not like either one, because we said before that when it's indeed bringing it brought down to the floor below, Kuli Amo Lo Pligi, that it's potter. Answers the Gemara, Hasam, over there by Rav Nachman's case, that Rav Nachman said is Chayiv, Lo intig lemitzvasa. He didn't remove it from its mitzvah. Therefore, it still has its designation as being part of the altar, being part of the mizbeach, and therefore l'sichbe. There will be an isser, and he's Chayiv for that. But Hacha over here, the case that Abaye Rava would say potter, the Kuli Alma's potter, is talking about intik lemitzvasa. He already removed for the mitzvah, thereby it no longer has its designation as being part of the mizbeach, whereby it doesn't have the iser of lo sichbe. Hadron aloch toraf bekalpi.